Hello and welcome to your June 27th daily briefing. Today we're going to answer some of your second stimulus check related questions and sprinkle in some news along the way, and then at the end of this video we're going to talk about what is going on in the stock market right now. So jumping right in with the very first question. Do you think the recent increase in virus cases will increase the odds of another stimulus check? So yes, I do believe so. I can only make an educated guess, of course, here, but the logic as I see it is if cases keep increasing, people will stay home and spend less money, and some businesses may be forced to close again. We don't really know exactly what's going to happen. I know this is already happening in some areas like Florida and Texas. Certain bars are having to close, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But basically, if this vicious cycle keeps getting worse, we will definitely see increased odds of another check. Also, I know legislators want to wait for the June jobs report before making a final decision on another check and another decision on PUA, that additional $600 per week unemployment. So following that logic again, a worse outbreak leads to more job losses or less jobs returning back to people, which leads to another increase of the odds of another stimulus check. However, whether there's a positive jobs report or not, I believe the odds are still in favor of another stimulus check being approved sometime late next month. All right, next question. Will those who are beneficiaries of government programs and retirement, like Social Security, get a second stimulus check? So again, I can only make an educated guess here, but this has been a hot topic in the last few days after Senator Pat Toomey was quoted saying he doesn't believe retirees on Social Security should receive another check because their income wasn't affected by the pandemic. I will say there are several senators saying that the next check should be more narrowly targeted, but that Senator Toomey seems to be the most outspoken against it and the only person that I've found so far who describes who should and shouldn't receive a check. A lot of them are saying it should be more narrowly targeted, but they're not really giving a plan on how they plan to do so. But judging by a few factors, I don't believe we will see a stimulus check that doesn't include beneficiaries of those programs. First reason being because the public has shown they strongly disagree with Toomey's opinion. I don't see many other legislators backing his idea when he's getting in such hot water for voicing those opinions and those ideas. And then second, this would make issuing another check even more complicated. It's already difficult enough of a task to get checks to the original 160 million or so people. This would just require more auditing and cross-referencing and new systems to exclude certain people. It would just be chaos on the administrative end to get this through and limit certain people. All in all, I believe that if there is another check, it'll likely be very similar to the first round for the sake of speed and simplicity of the system. All right, that's it for the stimulus check news. Let's do some stock market news. The markets ended down yesterday due to the accelerating COVID cases across the country and the slowed reopening of the country. So for a while, markets have been sitting suspiciously high, not even far below record highs in some cases. I mean, even the NASDAQ just recently broke a record, but is now lower than that. And this is all despite the economy being in pretty much the worst shape it's been in many, many years. And don't get me wrong, it still seems high even after the drop yesterday and kind of slow drop last week, but it seems to slowly be getting at least more realistic. The Dow and the S&P 500 dropped a few percentage points after news broke, largely that Texas and Florida would reverse some of their reopening. That's again with the bars that are now being closed again because of the concern of new cases and because of the general uncertainty of what might happen next. That decreased some of the markets as well. I know here in Arizona, we're one of the major hotspots for new cases as well, and I can feel the uncertainty in the air. People don't know if things are going to close down again. People are getting freaked. My employees are asking me, what should we do next? We're getting masks for all the guys. And, nearly everyone now knows someone who is tested positive. And that's, I think, now that's more close to home, it feels more real when you know someone who has tested positive. The whole thing just feels so weird. We're one of the states here in AZ that requires masks if you're inside a public place, and nearly every business requires it now. Even the gym. When I'm at the gym, it feels like I'm living in some kind of post-apocalyptic world. Well, I'm at the gym with my face covered in a mask and everyone else's face covered in a mask. What I'm getting at here is things are just generally weird and uncertain, and the markets seem to be catching on with that uncertainty. Moving on, some of the biggest stock losers yesterday were finance companies like Capital One, Citizens Bank, and Comerica. And also, interestingly, Facebook saw a big drop as well. And this one struck me as a bit odd since tech companies have been weathering the storm quite well, so I looked into it, and it actually wasn't pandemic related at all. Facebook fell in price because Verizon Wireless stopped purchasing ads from them, at least temporarily, because one of Verizon's ads appeared next to a video from a, quote, hateful conspiracy group. They don't want their advertising next to that kind of stuff. Now, this in itself doesn't seem like a huge deal because plenty of others will still willingly advertise on Facebook, but there was a fear that many other large brands would drop Facebook as an advertiser as well after Verizon did, and thus we saw Facebook's price react significantly to the news. Will this really end up causing huge problems for Facebook? I mean, probably not in the long term, but we'll have to check in next week to see exactly how this pans out if any other brands do end up dropping them. I personally don't think it's going to turn out to be much of a big deal. So this is all I have for today. If you want to get into investing, heck, maybe you want to buy some Facebook while it's down, check out the link in my description for Webull, and you'll receive 2 free stocks once you sign up and deposit $100 into your account. Until next time, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.